And I've been lucky enough to be involved with this football club since day one, either through commentary or through working with Heather, sat in the front here, or very many jobs around the W League as it was, and now the A League. And as I said, I was at the very first game, which was against the Central Coast Mariners over there in 2008, and we'll do the same again a little bit this afternoon, and I'm sure you're all looking forward to that. We've got a bit to go through first before we start getting involved. A little bit of housekeeping rules. The toilets are located behind the boardroom, which is behind you there. And you would have all got yourselves a drink voucher. If you haven't got one, see Michael, Cadiano or Sam, and they'll send one your way to help yourself to a drink. So what are we here for? Well, we're here, of course, to celebrate the history and the heritage of Canberra United Football Club and look to the future as well. We've got some special guests, which you can see sat in front of us here, Caitlin Munoz and Ashleigh Sykes, who we'll be talking to a little bit later on. Sam Farrow, CEO of Canberra United, is going to say a few words in a few moments as well. But first of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's happening across the road this afternoon, as if you don't know. This week already, we've had our top 5 moments on social media. You might have seen that. That came out today. The number 1 moment, of course, winning our very first grand final, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that later on today. We've had our all-time 11, which was announced this morning. We have more than 2,000 votes on that all-time 11. The 2 players to my right were both in it, fortunately. Tough old conversation to have, wasn't it? Thanks for coming, but you missed out. So we'll chat about that later on as well. Across the road, we're going to have the old merchandise for sale. You'll see around the place here, and feel free to have a look around later on. There is some old merchandise, some old match programs, some shirts, there's some special stuff from our championship season as well, some old players and coaches material floating around. Feel free to have a look. Please leave it where it is once you've had a look, though. You can't take these bits. However, over at the ground, you will be able to get yourself some old merch. There's some player-worn jerseys over there. There's some signed jerseys. There's some kit that's never been released to the public before. That was staff kit, player kit that we've managed to find from the archive, aka the boxes in the office. So feel free to go over there. There's something for everyone. The prices are pretty well from about $10 up to $100 for the really good signed frame stuff out there. So make sure you go and do that. Right-hand side where the merch is when you go in at the ground. The trophy. Well, we got a replica trophy for winning the competition twice. It's been sat in the office for quite some time in the trophy cabinet. Heather will know all about it. It was in your office for quite some time, Heather. We had a prize in for you, didn't we, to get it to the trophy. There's a photo booth over at the ground. The trophy's going to be there. You can have a chance to have your photo taken with the trophy as well. Caitlin Munoz is desperate. She tells me she's never had a photo taken with the trophy, even though she's won it twice. Don't know how that's happened. I mean, there was some presentation nights where the trophy was there. You could have done it. It did. So make sure you get that done as well. Half-time, we have a Hall of Fame presentation. Ashleigh Sykes and Caitlin Munoz in the Capital Football Hall of Fame. Sally Shippard as well will be joining us for that, which is great news as well. That's at half-time today. Post-match, of course, you could mingle with the players as per normal. And, of course, everyone in this room is going to get involved in the colouring competition, I'm sure. You can win a signed jersey. Get your colouring competition in at the game as well. So we're going to move on in a bit to chat to these two to my right. But first of all, please welcome Capital Football and Canberra United CEO, Sam Farrow.
It's always so hard to follow after you. Guys, thank you very much for coming today. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you all here to our Legends Lunch. To our valued members, sponsors, past players and special guests, thank you all for being here. Today we set up Heritage Round Forever Green as a chance to honour the rich history of our club, the legends who have shaped it and the incredible moments that have defined our journey. The dedication, passion and achievements of our past players and the team support around them have paved the way for those that have followed. I've been the CEO for just short of 12 months. I think everyone in this room would agree my first 3 were a roller coaster. Probably at sometimes I feel I haven't got off that yet, but we're getting there. If I can share with you a couple of things over that time. When we knew Canberra United was going to proceed with season 17, there were a couple of decisions we wanted to bring in to make the team, successful and have a good year. One was to create a really strong family culture. The first thing I learned, I didn't need to change a thing that already existed. And that's thanks to the players and team and management that had come before us that already set that up, and the current team who continue that tradition today. And I think when you look at today's game, we're playing for 3 points to get into the top 6. That success is coming this season, and let's hope it can continue. The second thing we wanted to do was to make a conscious effort to celebrate our history of the club throughout everything we do this season. So yes, we're doing it today. It's dedicated to the history, but I also haven't released a retro jersey or a heritage jersey for today because, as some of you would have seen in our home kit, there's a very subtle nod to all of the chevrons that came from the premiership winning kits before. So we will be wearing home today. The other jersey that I wanted to draw your attention to, because it's a little bit lesser known, is the warm-up shirt. That design that's on there is called Strength and Spirit. In the centre of the design are a series of U-shapes that are different colours, sizes, face different directions. They reflect all the different people from all the many types of walks of life that have come together to make the club as great as it is today, and those that will come into the future. So everything we've done has been really conscious effort to try and support that and move forward.
Yes.
I have to acknowledge the future of Canberra United is still unknown at the moment. I can't get past that. But there is a lot of work going on in the background to try and make sure that this is a club that continues to strive and continues to succeed. The support of everyone in this room, whether as a player, supporter or partner, remains vital as we continue to navigate those challenges ahead. But for now, let's take the time to share stories, reconnect and celebrate the legacy of this great club, past, present and future. Thank you and enjoy the afternoon.
Thanks, Ash. We were going to sit down to do this, but I don't think you guys at the back. Will you be able to see the guys if they sat down, or do you prefer them to stand up? Yeah. Well, we'll sit down and join you in a second. We're going to go through some questions and have a chat about your life at Canberra United. But first of all, I want to just introduce you to these two legends of the game, and I can say that now that they've been put into the all-time 11. Script doesn't need changing. That's great. First of all, I want to introduce you to a Canberra Clips player and a member of the foundation squad of Canberra United, Caitlin Munoz. Caitlin is a well-known and much-loved figure in Canberra football, helping the club to 2 championships in 2012 and 2014. Her exploits and work extend beyond the capital city, though, with a 57 times cap Matilda part of the historic team from the 2007 FIFA Women's World Cup. The story that best sums up, though, isn't anything to do with her CU or Matilda's career. It's one moment in an NPL match helping coach an opposition player at half-time of a match when the scores were locked up, 1-1. Known for her strength and resilience, after 5 knee reconstructions in her career, it's fitting that her last ever touch of the ball in a competitive match was to score a 118th minute winner for Belconnen United in the 2019 ACT NPLW Grand Final for Belconnen United. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Caitlin Munoz. So how do you follow that? Well, you followed with a Julie Donut medal winner in 2015 and a golden boot in 2016-17. Ashleigh Sykes is someone who Canberra United fans will remember fondly. With 123 appearances and 44 goals in green to her name, Ash won it all with the club with 3 premierships and 2 championships. She also holds a record for most goals scored in one game by a CU player with 4 goals against Perth Glory in 2017. Initially retiring in February 2018, Sykes returned to the club as an injury replacement in December of that year, before for a final stint at the club in 2021-22. The pacing forward also has a unique experience, having played at the top level with twin sister Nicole. Please welcome Ashleigh Sykes. So thanks very much for joining us, guys. It's going to be pretty much an informal chat. But first of all, I want you to start us off by telling us what your memories are of this club and what it meant to you when they were first announced as a W League side back in 2008. You want to take this?
Sure. I was 16, I think, at the time when it was announced. So I was pretty young and trying to get into a squad. I only just broke it into representative teams at that time. And thankfully, Canberra United gave me a chance when Robbie Hooker was the coach and sort of involved with Matilda as assistant coach. It was really my first chance to see what a professional environment was like. I was from small country town. We trained and played with boys. I had no experience at the elite level, really. So Canberra was my first, experience of that, and probably couldn't have been even better. I didn't leave after that. So I think from the get-go, what Sam said is the family thing. Like, that was probably the overarching theme that was evolved in my sort of experience with Canberra, and I was there from the very start. So yeah, that first season, I probably couldn't tell you too much about what it meant. I do know that I got to play with Munoz straight off the bat, and I don't know, have I ever told you this in person? Oh, but like, I was still in school and I had your photo on my book. I had a photo, you and Walshy are on my similar books. And then they said, I didn't play Canberra. No, because when I had back in the can, we had all the question. So yeah, that was my, the start, let's work.
That makes me feel old. I think I'm probably 10 years older than you, maybe this sense, maybe a bit less. Yeah, so bit of a different stage in my sort of football career as to Ash. Kind of I'd been playing for a little bit longer. But yeah, once Canberra United was announced to be part of the league, I know myself and one of the 3 other girls that would be happy as to be part of it. You know, Canberra girls that we were, or that we are, yeah, I can't remember like the first day, but I remember different sort of parts of it. And the first season, I think, this is a bit weird to remember, but the first, one thing I remember about the first season, we did get our warm-up jerseys for our semi-final day. So that was kind of, I don't know why that sticks in my memory, but yeah, that was sort of one thing that I remember from that long ago. But as Ash said, just the family, just the connections that we made on the field, and we took them off the field. The supporters that we've had from day one have just been unbelievable, and there's no other like it. So we're very lucky here in Canberra. So thank you all.
Many of you in this room might not know this, or some of you might, depending on how much of a W League buff you are. But the first ever goal in the Women's National League was scored by Canberra United player, scored by Sasha McDonald, who was from Brisbane, a couple of minutes into our first game. Went on that year to reach the grand final the very first year. For those of you that can't see, in the corner there, you'll see a football just over there. That's the actual match ball from the 2008 grand final that we played in against Brisbane Roar. It's signed by Ellie Brash and Claire Pumpkinghorn, the 2 captains, and it's been sat with us for many a year, wondering what we're doing with it, probably waiting for this afternoon. You both were around for that grand final. The first one, it didn't end in victory for us, but what was it like in that first season to get to the showdown?
Yeah, it was awesome. I think it was just a massive experience. This is your first experience of professional football, and you get to go all the way to the grand final with the team. And I think I just remember my whole family travelling up to Brisbane to watch and be involved in the game. And all I remember from Brisbane games is they're all so hot. If I a massive feeling at Ballin, yes, I like that. It is rare. Yeah. Like I said before, I couldn't tell you too many specific moments. There's probably more off-field stuff that I remember in that grand final. But yeah, I think it sort of fueled us for the next one, really.
Yeah, I have also another weird memory from that game. Robbie Hooker gave a hard time talking about something. Oh, maybe it was before the game, some clock in horse racing or something. Remember that? It was bizarre. None of us understood it. I think we could have seen a weird running for the game. He was, yeah, not real, so real life. Yeah. I've got weird memories from that game. I think there was a streaker. Also, if you know me, I'm pretty funny. I like to take everything not too seriously, so that's why I probably remember these weird sort of memories that you guys may not remember or know of. So, for kids of mine, talking about CVs or anything like that. Also, the game, I don't really remember too much of the game. Right?
Yeah, that works. But if we try to sit it down there.
Yeah, this back speaker's really. Is that better? So I'll just pass it up.
Don't know.
She's standing with the microphone.
Stop holding it like a ratter.
Oh, I forgot.
I remember I found semi-final, to be honest. Newcastle, against Newcastle.
Yeah.
Afterwards, there were a bunch of us who were young, and we weren't allowed to go out with the team celebrating the win. But we went down to Cold Rock and got ourselves. And everyone else joined much later in the evening. There was some hot pink cargo pants floating around by one of the staff members, which have stuck with me. Yeah,
They weren't mine. Can promise you that. Moving on to a few years down the track, and we finally got a championship under our belt in the 2012 season. Again, there's some merchandise up on the side there. This will mean something to you guys, of course. The Final Destination T-shirts that were printed for players and staff following the grand final. You can see one up there when you get the chance later on. Nice bit of memorabilia, but fantastic to be involved in the final and to win it in front of a huge crowd, 2,500 over the road against Brisbane Roar. Ash, you scored and assisted a goal in that 2012 final. Michelle nabbed a couple, as she always does, of course. What are your memories of that match, and what was it? Incredible occasion against a really good Brisbane Roar outfit.
I think that season we worked really hard and everything just clicked for us. Like, it felt easy to play. If you're thinking about like a flow state, I feel like that team as a whole was in a flow state. Every single player was playing their role, understood it, and it was a joy to play in, and it really was easy. You know, like if you go for a lot of games, they never feel like that. You're always slogging, you're always working hard, and obviously we were working hard, but it clicked, and that one was a joy to play in. And I think I remember our current manager, coach, passing beers, tons of beers over the fence. I think my best friend, he's quite tall, so he can reach over the fence, but I don't know if he could deny those accusations. But I remember the fans going nuts, and it was packed, and it was a great sort of day.
Do you remember your goal?
Yeah. I seem to remember that, you remember the weird things, build up, like, and Michelle sort of running in behind out wide, not looping back in for Grace to play the ball through to Michelle and just sort of sliding or tapping in. But that's what I mean by easy. Everyone knew where to run at the right moment and when to play that pass through to break lines. So, everyone was on the same page as to how we were going to break that team down. And I think that's why it was a joy to play and made it feel easy.
Yeah, one for Caitlin, if you want to pass it over as well. Caitlin, that year, thanks, Emily.
To try and get
undefeated year. I don't think it'll ever happen in the A-League again, considering the length of the season now. It was a shorter year back then. How did that feel as a group when you went from woe to go, not losing a game or winning the tug?
Yeah, like you said, it's very rare that it's going to happen at this level. I think that, again, I think I really realised that we were undefeated until, like, it gets kind of brought up as a player. You just kind of play a game and you win or you draw. You obviously remember the losses a little bit more than, so for myself, I didn't really, realise we were undefeated until, it gets announced, and then, we're undefeated. That's it. And that's it. Easy as that. Yeah, it's 6 respects.
Round about that time, of course, the squad went to the very first International Women's Club Cup in Japan. I think Heather was a very big driving force behind that. That was an incredible experience for everybody that went as well, and a couple of hard games over there. This now is obviously expanded into the Club World Cup. What are your memories of that trip, and what did it mean to represent Canberra in that very first competition?
First season.
It was cold, and you should hear to say that. I remember we all had big puppy jackets on, and again, my memory is terrible, but I didn't actually remember we went there until I saw the footage. So that's my bad. But after seeing that, I remembered like the game we played. I think it was against Kobe, and I feel like we got annihilated during the game at the time. And then watching the game back, you realise it's not as bad as what you thought. But yeah, playing against players over there or different sort of levels was unbelievable. And I also remember 2 earthquakes we had there. We were in the hotel room, so that was pretty interesting. I think Hageman and I made a bit of a joke about it, which we tended to kind of do for the young punks, but I've got to keep them on their toes. But yeah, that's how I remember it.
I missed out on tonight. I think that was thoroughly flying out of behind. Thanks for bringing it up, Rob.
I didn't pick the squad, mate. He was. Talking about international, then you'd be able to answer this one. Both of you played for Matildas, and Caitlin, you played 57 times, and actually went to the World Cup in 2015 as well. What are your memories of representing your country at the highest level? What's the best moment for you as well? What's that like, standing in front of the crowd and hearing the national anthem come up and realising you're representing your country at the pinnacle of your sport?
I'd love to hear you answer this first, because I think that 2007 World Cup squad that you were involved in, looking back after the recent World Cup, that's probably the best Australian squad we've ever put out, I would say. But like, what was your what was your memory of that time?
Questions from Ash. Yeah, it was unbelievable to represent your country in any game, let alone a World Cup, is one of the highlights of my career. I remember the first game walking out. I don't think I was too nervous until you kind of get out there and the anthems come on. And I always used to say the FIFA song that we're playing, my favourite song is going to be my walk down the aisle or something. Hasn't happened yet, but we can still watch this space. But yeah, so that's kind of what I remember is just the FIFA song, which I just loved, and obviously the anthem, and just wearing the Australian jersey and playing with some of the people that I'm still really good friends with now. They're sort of the memories that I will take with me, just the friendships you make, I think, in any team or any workplace that you're kind of involved in, yeah. And the crowd was unbelievable. We had a great, Australian team come along and support us in the crowd. My dad got to come. It was unbelievable. But yeah, just those sort of memories are what I'll take away.
Something like the off-field stuff that sticks with you, right? Because you're on tour for a long periods of time and stuck in camp. But for me, the World Cup experience was, I scraped into that squad by the skin of my teeth, really. I was probably not in selection, in contention for selection for a while there. And then each sort of selection camp, you made it through, and eventually you made it to the World Cup. So I think for me, what sticks out was the moment being told that you're going to be on the plane to go to Canada. That was, an incredible honour. And my family got to come over and watch it. And I think our first game was against the US in Canada, and it was like the US home game. It was insane. Just the noise, 30-odd thousand people in the crowd was something, we hadn't experienced at that time. And it was incredible. I remember trying to run around, kick the ball past and run around Juliet. It's like a pretender here, and she just pushed me inside like I was nothing. It's just a good impact off the bench.
Kelly, you mentioned the players you played with the international level, fantastic players, but looking a bit closer at home, both of you, great players that you played with throughout the years. We've seen the all-time 11 that's come up this morning. Plenty of players not in that team as well. Who would you say are the players that most influenced you in your time at Canberra United, and which players were you most close with?
Ash, obviously. Brushy and I kind of grew up. She's a little bit younger than me, but we were in the Canberra Clips team together. So I sort of knew Brushy since maybe 15. I was maybe 18 or so. So definitely Brushy. Obviously, I think we had pretty much a core group from day one, for 5-6 years, maybe longer. And I think there was just a good core group of girls that were just friends. Everyone was friends. It didn't matter how old we were, how young we were all just so close and obviously wanted the same net goal that I think, I don't know, but that's,
I don't know what you think about this, but I would say that's kind of what drove some of the success at the early start of the club, was that core group of players, maybe 8 or so, that drove the standards and the direction of the club. I don't know if you...
I agree, 100%, yeah.
My favourite players to play with was Nick, my sister. We always look back we were having fun playing.
So about training, they weren't allowed to be on opposite teams because they got too aggressive toward the camera. So they can. Not because you couldn't recognise them.
No.
About you.
There's a few bus stops at track. But my first season, we had Thea Slatcher as a centre back for us, and she was great coming in to play up against her and training a lot, because she sort of taught me what to expect, and she really took me under her wing to sort of teach me what the other centre backs were trying to do to me and the young quick forward. So that was really helpful. But then we've had some World Cup bronze medal winners. We've had Olympic bronze medal winners. We've had World Cup runners up. You've had some of the best players to play for their country playing for Canberra United. So up until Roslyn's.
Oh, yeah.
Keenan, now that I'm thinking of even more of them, it's insane. So I think probably the hardest person for me to play against in the league at training as a defender was Caitlin Cooper. As a defender, she was so good defensively with her principles. So I would say we were fortunate to have her on our team for a long period of time there.
You mentioned Thea Slatcher, the first Cameron known to be sent off from the nothing in the second game we ever played over the road there against Adelaide. She lasted about 5 minutes. Got herself sent off in that one. She also had an incredible job as well, if I remember rightly. She was something to do with cleaning or building skyscrapers or hanging off.
So that's even, I think she was learning to be a pilot, and she flew herself in one game, and I remember picking up from the airport, and she'd flown the plane in. Yeah,
She like the dance bodyguard.
yeah.
She had so many jobs.
I was grateful. The horse, she was bodyguard for all famous horse. Yeah, interesting.
She did. You talked about Robbie also having some interesting half-time discussions. Do you remember back at the start of the 11-12 season when you could think of a pre-season camp, sitting around candles and then climbing mountains in the mist? Tell us a little bit about that, because that was some fun times.
Was that an Eagle War? Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
The second year?
Was it
The first session you went 14 k's up a hill, or 14,000 meters. Yeah, that was fun for my knees. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we did some interesting team building activities, with toilet paper and balloons and sausages and
Bananas. So I got on try catch new car.
but yeah, it worked.
Tell us a little bit about coaches that you've worked with and what they brought to the organisation, to the club, and how they went about their business.
I think each coach that we've had has obviously brought something that the club has valued and that players really value. But my all-time favourite season and coach was the 11-12. I just thought she was really good coach, but a really great person, and she knew how to manage all the players. I think at this level is a really sort of thing you want your coach to have, able to manage your players, get your best out of your players. Physically, mentally, just everything. So for me, Nika was really a great, pick for my football. Liz, she was also amazing. She was an unbelievable football coach. The broken English, I think, was a little bit hard for some of us to kind of work around, but and I can't go past Anne. I've known Anne for 20 odd years. Coached me for a number of years and really got the best out of me. Obviously, he's not my coach now, but he's going to do great things for the club and the players. So I was,
Still make it and set still.
I
I think Yitka came in for me after we'd had Ray Jr., who did a lot for my career personally in terms of skill development and understanding the game. And then Yitka added that mentality on top of it to some of us, which really took everything to the next level. I loved Liz. I thought, she was a fantastic manager. I do remember do you remember the first section we had with Liz when she came in as a new coach? Fitness testing.
Oh, yeah, we got one, yeah.
That is so much.
Well, the athletic strap.
Had the athletic strap. I think we were all so keen to impress her and she'd sort of we had these pre-meetings with her at Tilly's, where she sort of unfolded herself from the booth to sort of greet you. I was terrified of her to start with, so we were all keen to impress her, and we, we're doing 200-metre runs.
That's another memory I've lost out, the 200 metres.
Yeah, and then no one made it. I think one person made it to do the 2K time trial at the end because we'd all gone too hard earlier to try and impress her, and forgot that there was that. Who was it? Stell.
Harry?
Yeah. So that was it worked.
Well, that's a little bit unfortunate because we're just about to have a break to enjoy some food to leave us on that story. But we're going to have a 5-minute intermission or so just so you can help yourself to the food while it's still warm as well. It's buffet style around the side of the rooms. Please help yourself and then we'll be back to have more conversations. But for the meantime, thank you very much to Caitlin Munoz and Ashleigh Sykes.